process with this show, but I do think it is so funny how funny all of the like production side of this is, because it has to be. It's a show. When you guys are creating these characters that you guys probably very well you've seen them walk around. How do you navigate the balance between like, okay, well, there are people who are doing a producing job, or there are people who are being a PA, or they're doing whatever on the set, or being assistant, but also like they have to be funny in the context of the show.
You can never, you can never try to be funny.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So that's the work primarily of being cast. Hopefully you have something inherently in you that comes across as funny. And then it's about the words on the page and the relationships that are constructed by the writers. So they do a lot of the work for us.
I was told not to be funny. I don't know. I'm not actually joking. I was told like my role is the comic relief. My role is the straight man. So sometimes you're also there to provide sort of a beacon for everybody to be fun and around you.
I don't think a lot of people are thinking they're in this show. They're being deadly serious for what they're doing. You know what I mean? I mean, maybe Richard's character thinks he's being funny at times, but everyone else is just dead serious in their convictions. That's what makes it funny.
Yeah, it sounds like the straight man often ends up being funny because you just have to kind of.
Do you guys have any friends who work on franchises that have contacted you to say anything?
Not yet, no. A writer from The Boys just texted me that he's watching.
Oh, really?
The writer who's writing the spinoff was like, oh, I guess I have to take the invisible jackhammer off out of episode 3. So, they're watching.
Well, Daniel Bruhl was in superhero movies, so he was a resource for some whether things were truthful or not. And then Sam Mendes told us many stories about working on the Bond franchise that kind of gave it some verisimilitude.
Does the real life set ever mirror the fictional set?
Yeah, I would say so. Maybe too much, because it was kind of confusing. There's just like the literal way that it actually did resemble our set. I mean, you have to pay attention to what color lanyard people were wearing, because if you were, I think those people who were wearing yellow lanyards were working on Tecto, the film, then the show, and then we had our own lanyards as anyway, it was very confusing. But the chaos, I would say that our production was a really well-oiled machine. They did a really great job. It wasn't nearly as chaotic as like the set of Tecto.
Yeah, the office where the office you see in the show is in the hallways and all the where the office, Anita's office. Those were all working offices for our producers.
Yeah. Like some stuff is touchy. What about drafties?
Those were different.
Those were definitely different.
A lot less crafty on ours. Also, British crafty is different than American crafty. Crafty provides you with every candy you've ever dreamed of.
In America.
Yeah,
very different in Britain.
Yes, and in Britain, it's like there's a great coffee truck, which is not normal. Like they make you a cappuccino, but you get no
twice
snacks.
a day you get snack. No,
twice a day.
Twice a day they made snacks. In America, as you would think, just gluttony, just like donuts and
But it looks
sandwiches.
a little more like what the Tecto crafty looks like. That's more of an American crafty.
Oh my god, now my brain stopped. I started thinking about crafty.
The best part about being with a bunch of people is like we can just all trade off. If you can't remember.
Do you guys have a new appreciation for behind the scenes people?
I feel like I feel like the only reason I could do this show is because I have such an appreciation. I don't feel like the appreciation is new. It's kind of like always been there. I think it was really important for all of us, like that, we are satirizing something that we also take really seriously, and all the people who work on these sets are doing so because they're passionate about this kind of work. So I feel like the appreciation is already there. It's just like, I don't think you could do this without that appreciation.
It's incredible. I don't know if they do this anymore, but Teamsters, who are the people that drive, you know, the actors, there was a fund in their Teamsters union that sent their kids to college, you know, free of charge, as just another fringe benefit of having such a demanding job. These Teamsters are up at 4 in the morning. They go home at ungodly hours. I mean, the family life must really take a hit.
And I remember when I wanted to ask, I love the line that Hamish says where he uses his character as like, yes, we all know what these movies are like, but when they're good, they really fuck their head or something like that. And it is very important. I think that's the issue with comic book movies, that people dismiss them, but when they are good, they are praised to the high ends. And you guys are working on something that is such a commentary and such a kind of hot button issue of people like shitting, quote unquote, shitting on comic book movies just to do it, and like the actual merit of them. How was it for you guys on set, knowing like you guys were feeding that delicate balance between the commentary, but also doing it in a fun way that people can engage with it?
I think the best satire is done with love. So I hope that we are winking at something that is ridiculous. It's in all sets are ridiculous. It's ridiculous what we do. They walk us to the bathroom and listen to us pee. It's so dumb. And yet, like, it also needs to get done because apparently some actors run. Right? Like, there's a reason for all rules, right? You have to dig. But I think it's really done with a lot of love. And you see, like, the cast, the crew, we all come from these things. So it's not like we're like, oh, we're so much better than. It's like, isn't this crazy? When things go wrong, they go really wrong.
And in a much more macro way, it's like we love movies and we love like the process of making movies, and that's what we're kind of setting out to appreciate. And it shouldn't be, we shouldn't take too many. Yes, we're digging in a little bit, but yeah, it's made with a lot of love for movies in general.
Do you all? Oh, sorry. Were you gonna say?
No, I mean, I was just gonna say that, like, you know, what I think we're tasked with doing as artists and as storytellers is holding up a mirror. And I feel like, yeah, sometimes you look in a mirror and you laugh at the reflection and you laugh at what you see. I sometimes have to. And I feel like that's what we're doing. We're holding up a mirror and we're showing like a really funny reflection of some of the really ludicrous and frankly hilarious aspects of our industry. But yeah, it's done with love.
Do you all have like a favorite movie or TV show that is about making a movie, TV show, or a stage production? Like
I'm a hardcore Smash fan.
yes.
That was like the ultimate behind the scenes. I loved Smash.
You know, I think they're making it.
They're making it into a musical, yeah.
What was
Bombshell.
the musical? Bombshell.
Bombshell. But they're
No,
not
but
making
it's Smash.
Bombshell.
They're
They're
making
making Smash the
Smash.
musical.
Oh,
Yeah.
funny.
So
with
Alex
the
Freightman was like writing. He plays the guy who's like writing. They're writing Bombshell. So it's straight up Smash.
That's crazy.
oh, funny. Did you watch it?
I did, of course. Teresa Rebeck. I auditioned
Yeah.
with her monologues for
Oh, yeah.
college. Yes,
Oh,
Spike
yeah.
Fields. Absolutely. I did seminar too.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Oh.
I have to say, Call My Agent. If
Oh my
nobody
God,
has
yes.
seen Call My Agent, it is a French series on Netflix. Sorry, HBO. And it is fantastic. And that is one of my favorite behind the scenes of movie making. And it sends up theater, TV, film, and it's about the agents who get us jobs. But it's also, you get to see behind the scenes of all this stuff. That's my favorite.
Extras was great. I loved
Extras
your
is
face.
great.
That was fantastic. Loved
What attracted you guys to your roles?
it. This is a very easy answer, and I think everyone has the same one. So
Sam Mendes.
Armando Iannucci,
Yeah, there's
Don
no-
Brown.
There's no, it's not, those three names were just like, where do we go? Where do we do? We were all very excited to just be involved.
Yeah.
I really like what you said about loving making movies. On Letterboxd, every movie gets 5 stars for me because I have to rate things for work. So I'm like, not when I'm having fun. It's 5 stars. Just because I do think when you think about the filmmaking process, people work so hard to make a piece of art, and people are very quick to dismiss said art and not look at the important parts of it. When you guys does this make you guys have more of an appreciation for like people who do look at art in that way, are more understanding of like a lot of people put their heart and souls into something that they're making?
Of course. critical. I guess so. Because you just have to know when a movie doesn't work. But I think I take issue mostly with either reviews or meanness. Like there's meanness out there that, you know, I know you have to kind of be a little cutting to sell, you know, for clicks and everything. That's the stuff that just really bothers me.
Yeah, Darren, you said earlier that, you know, no one sets out to make a bad thing. Like everyone is trying to make something excellent, and it's almost a miracle that anything gets made at all. But then for something to be made well, that's just like there's a certain kind of alchemy that like can't be predicted almost. But I do feel like I have a greater appreciation for. Yeah, just like the process, because it is really easy to sit back as an audience member and critique something and not think about what's, you know, beneath the surface. You know, like what we see is the tip of the iceberg when we're watching a movie or a TV show. We're not seeing thousands of people and hours and all of their individual passions that poured into making something good. I feel like oftentimes people don't appreciate that something was made deliberately and with a lot of care. And it's not always people's fault if it doesn't cohere. There's just like a magic that's either there or it's not a lot of times. Yeah, but you have to appreciate that it was made by craftspeople. And yeah, I feel like it's important.
How much improv did you guys do in the show?
To be honest, I didn't do a whole lot. Like maybe a little bit here and there. I mean, these writers really love their words, and so do I. I think they're great writers.
Yeah, very, very little, though. Sometimes what I learned from over the process was that if I improv'd a little in rehearsal, if they liked it, they would take it and they'd punch it up for you, right? So that was like a good way to collaborate. Like if I had an idea, I'd put it in rehearsal because if they liked it, they'd be like, yes, rather than do it on camera and then they're not going to use the take. So that was a way. And there's a couple things that got it.
And most of the writers are British, and there would be Britishisms in the script. And they could not have been more open to the Americans coming up to them and saying, listen, this is something that is said in England, but phrased differently in the States. So, and in 2 seconds, they were like, oh, you tell us how it should be? Done. And then also we would do the scene as written for the most part, and I felt this happen more and more as the season went on. And once you have their take, and then you start playing a little, and they started giving us some latitude to kind of have a little bit more fun with it.
Have you ever had anything happen on like a set that you've been on that you went to the writers and were like, this is crazy, we need to put this in the show?
Yes, none of them are.
Sure. You gotta be careful.
You gotta be in the writer's room to really do the pitches. I'd be like, let me tell you some things you can shoot down.
But John will always, but I've seen people do it, and John has the same reaction, which is, oh, that would be good, actually, to maybe do something like that. This should be, you know what? I'll talk to Tony. Maybe that would work.
Maybe.
Thank you for that.
There was one story that our producer told, which actually ended up getting put into one of the episodes that you'll see in episode 7. I guess there was our producer, Jim Cleverwise, used to be a first AD himself, and he was talking about a movie that he was on where there was a big sort of explosion. They did like a practical explosion of a building. And as you know, everybody, there were like people tailgating, like everybody was there to watch this, the crew, and there were a lot of people as well. After the explosion, what they didn't anticipate was, I guess there were a lot of bats inside this building, and once the building exploded, all the bats just like into this crowd of people and crew and everything. And everybody thought that story was, you'll see it anyway. So that was, they took inspiration from that.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, ladies.
I forgot to say off camera. You know that the theater